Next question is, would it be better to set a smaller value instead of doing 50 gig for the iSCSI volume that you've created? Well, that would depend. I mean, if I can go back to the screen over here, and if I can go back into the configuration, I am just drawing this. It could be that you may want this 50 gig that we've created, this volume, that it could be in a different type of RAID configuration. Maybe that the DSS configuration where the iSCSI target is, I may want that to be on a RAID 6. I'm not looking for performance. All I'm looking for is high availability. So in this case, where RAID 6 I can lose 2 drives, this RAID array that is on the, let's say I can create multiple volumes. So let's take a look at what that would look like. If I have my DSS source and I create 2 volumes, so from my RAID array, I could actually, let's use this one, it's better look here. If I had this, say, for the sake of argument here, is that this volume here was a RAID 6 from, let's say, from an array controller. And I'm going to use that. I'm only going to need a RAID 6 for, let's say, 5 drives or 4 drives. 5 drives, and I'm going to use 1 for a hot spare. And in that way, I don't have to really worry about that, and I put that on my destination and my source server. Then on this RAID array, I want to make it real fast for my databases. So I'm going to use a RAID 10. I'm going to have 12 drives in there, maybe SAS. And this is where my capacity or my volumes would be created from. So in the DSSV 6 in virtualization of this virtual machine that I have, then my volume, then I can use this as my SAS drives for RAID 10. Next question. Can we use 10 gig for the virtual IP address and also for the replications for a lot of heavy traffic? And what have you seen best practices for? I've seen the best practices used actually in different configurations. If we look and go back, I have on the volume replication, I am using the 10 gig for my volume replication. So this is SMC's 10 gigabit Ethernet controller here, and I'm using that solely for the volume replication. If you remember, we talked about the last third octet 20.221 just being solely used for my volume replication. Now, that doesn't mean that I cannot create a bond. And the E5 and E6 that we have here is a 10 gigabit Ethernet connection, and I can create a bond on that and use that as my virtual IP address. If we look at the source server here that I have a bond, because many times we do get this question, here I've selected out of these NICs that are available to create a bond. Now there's different types of bonds. The types of bonds that we have, if we look, all you have to do is select the type of NICs. Now here E3 and 4 are already taken. They're already created a bond. Yes, I can. The next question was, can I add more than just 2? Yes, you can add as many as you want. There comes a point, though, where after 8 NICs, you're already at a point where you're probably better off just looking at 10 gig NICs to be able to increase your pipe size. So if I wanted to select these available NICs, I can do so and make them a certain type of bond. Now we have different types of bonds, and the most primary used in the certification, by the way, with VMware was with a Balance RR, which is currently selected right now. 802.3 AD, which does provide performance and path failover, but uses the link aggregation control protocol. So you would need a managed switch, a smart switch, to be able to create that grouping. After that, we've seen a lot of ALBs and TLBs, but mostly the balancer R is widely used because we are certified with it. And I can take multiple NICs. You want to stay in the same chipset. I do want to make that point. If I don't want to take this type of network interface controller and mix it with a different type of value, because you don't know what could possibly happen. So you want to keep within the same chipset family. If you are going to use different chipset families, we do recommend highly that you test it before implementing it into production. So again, you can create bonds with 10 gig NICs, and also you can create many bonds, by the way, so it's not just to one bond. I can create more than one bond, and I can add as many NICs as I wish. Then I can assign for that bond my virtual IP address. So I can establish a virtual IP address for the bond or many bonds. Next question is, why is the asynchronous not being able to use an auto failover? Currently, we just never have found it to be functional very well for the auto failover. We are looking at other opportunities to use the asynchronous volume replication, but we need more time for that. Next question is, what about if we wanted to replicate the ISO image from the NFS share? Great question. That's why I brought this up. If I go into the volume group right in here and into the volume manager, you'll see that I do have the capabilities of replicating the NAS volumes. In fact, we can replicate NAS in fiber channel volumes using our volume replication. So on this LV001, all we have to do is modify LV001. If you notice, I can specify use volume replication. So I hit apply, but I also want to make sure that I do it on the destination server as well. So let's go over there, and we go to our volume groups. And here we need to add the replication task as well. So we'll modify LV001, use the volume replication. Now once this is set, we'll see the denotation of the replication task assembled on it, and let's verify also why it's creating this. Now if you're utilizing this already, it can perform degradation. So let's just go ahead and start again. And there we have our replication task assigned. So at this point, what we want to do is go to our volume replication and make sure that LV001. Now, since we don't have auto failover yet for the NFS, for the NAS volumes, we are looking to have that done possibly this year. That you want to use the volume replication. Make sure that you designate one as source and one as destination. Cannot be source and source or destination destination. For this purpose, we'll just set it for destination, and our primary, we'll set that for the B source. Oh, didn't show up. I must have not clicked on something. Let's try that again. Let's go to our VG0. And modify LV001. And let's wait for that replication task. Now, one of the things is it's very simple to be able to fail over too. So with the volume replication, so I can actually, if source were to fail, or if you're going to do some maintenance, you can actually switch the destination to be source, clear the metadata, which there's a check mark in there, and allowing you, then you mount your destination volumes. Well, I think there's something else going on in this one, but we can move forward on creating a new one to show you the difference here. So we create a new NAS, unless we want to make it the same value, so we're going to go 20 gig. and we've created the task associated with it. So let's see what happens on this point. And then what we want to do is let's go back to the destination, see if our settings are right. And there it is. So now we've got our new NAS volume. Let's go to our volume replication. Make sure that the source is set to source. And it is. Hit our apply. And destination we know is applied. And we do set we only have one ability to set one IP address. Here we want to set just, let's say, the NAS replication. We want to scan. And there it immediately picks up that the destination server, LV001, is ready to go. Let's create it. And then on the bottom, you're going to see the task being created here. And then we're going to click on the green play button. And this allows us to begin the replication task. So now you're able to replicate the source NAS and volume that has all your data for all your shares, and it'll replicate to the destination server. So if we go to our tasks to find out what the status is, what this will do is it'll provide you information of the consistency of that volume being replicated. So if we click on NAS replication, this tells us how much time is left, how much further we have to go before it's complete, and pretty much once it's consistent, as it's stated here, to the destination, that they're replicating block by block by block. Once it's done, it'll state that it's consistent. Well, I got one more last question. I think that wraps up our hour. Is can you point out where some of these documents might be to help us out? Sure can. What you want to do is go to www.open-e.com, and also if you want to point out a couple things that might be useful to you as well. But in our documents, you want to click on the Libraries tab, and in the Libraries tab, go to How-To Resources. There's also webcasts and demos here you can click on, but for your question, Dan, this refers to where you would do OpenE replications. Now, if you notice that you must log in to be able to view some of the synchronous files, some of the updated material, just log in. Very simply, click here, and immediately it'll take you right to getting to this documentation. So here you got the iSCSI failover synchronous volume replication over a LAN version 6, and also how to create windows with cluster. Just a lot of things that will be very helpful to you, especially DSS MPIO, DSS v6, MPIO with ESS v6, and then you just click or download the documents. Very useful information. A lot of details in there. Steps by step, I walk-through process to help you set your system up. One last thing I'd like to point out is that many times you may have a question, especially in pre-sales, is anything about, let's say, an issue that you may have, a possible error, or possibly a question about a product. So let's say if you say NFS, you'll see that immediately, how do I mount an NFS? And you'll notice that it goes right to our knowledge base. We have it designed to, when you do a search query, that the knowledge base articles come up first. So if you look at this, is that how do I mount an NFS share under the Linux console? Here we give you the question, what to do, how to do it, and this pretty much helps you out immediately, and you can print these out. So it's a good area for resource and information.